Hi, welcome to ID Creatures. Today we're going to talk about rounds. These are simple rounds, and the reason we know they are simple is because it's something you can do with a piece of paper, okay? We have complex rounds, which a piece of paper can't do because it can't bend on both directions, okay? Unless it breaks and, it makes something that looks like this. So simple rounds is something like this, okay? It's in one direction and it goes like that. So we have simple rounds here, we have another one here. We have simple rounds all over the place except for this one, but I just wanted to point something out that I'm going to explain in a second. And I have another example here of something a little bit like a chair, sort of. I just wanted to make something that that looks like an object and not just any shape. Okay, so I'm going to go back to this example here. So what you need to do, I think you can tell that I started from a box here, and inside I start taking parts out, and I'm gonna do that once I start explaining. But what I did here is another example that it's not round surfaces, but since it's the same process, you can apply it to any shape. Okay, I'm just taking like a triangle out and another triangle and just like eating stuff out of the material. Okay, and the reason I did that is because here I started for this chair looking object to modify the general shape by taking out two triangles here at the top and then just sort of extruding it and slicing that part out and that part out, okay? So that's why I did this, so you can see that the difference there. And I have two other small thumbnail sketches there. So I'm gonna start by explaining how that works. I'm just gonna make some shapes like the first ones I showed you. Let's start by just making a something like a cube that I'm gonna divide through the middle. I'm not gonna do the center point thing where I do the cross. I'm just gonna estimate where it is. And if it's not totally accurate, it doesn't really make that much of a difference. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm going to make sort of like half of an ellipse, okay, at the top, and I also want to do it at the bottom, okay? So I'm going to make one at the top, one at the bottom, and make a line tangent to them, okay? And what I end up having, I'm going to bring my Sharpie here, there we go. What I end up getting is this right here, okay? So we have a surface here at the top, okay, with a big round right there, okay? Rounds don't have to be that big. That's just one example of how rounds can look, but you can also have simple rounds that are really, really small, okay? So you can have a round that goes from here to here, okay? And then you can have a round that's really big that goes from here to here. Okay, so you can have different sizes of rounds. Okay, so you can have this little one here, and then you can have a big one at the top. I mean, not the top, but on the other side. So I don't know if you can tell, but this round is a lot bigger than this round right here. Okay, so this one is bigger, this one is smaller. You can also have rounds that are not uniform. So what I mean by that is that you can have a round that's really, really small at the bottom and it gets really big at the top. Okay, so you can have rounds that change size. And the way you're going to notice that is that once you start shading this, the colors that you're going to be shading, or the tones, are going to change a lot, because you have the surface starts being round here. So if I draw a section line, it's going to be something like that. Okay, so that's the section line right there. So you can have big ones, small ones, ones that some that change surface. Then you can have an object that has a round in one direction and around another direction. So let's say sort of like something, like I showed you here. this one. Okay, so you have a round that goes in this direction. Okay, and a round that goes in this direction. Okay, so you have this right here. Okay. So you have different combinations that you can make, and what I recommend is just start with the cube and take chunks out of it, like take this part out, and then you want to take the other part out, and then you do that too, and you take a tiny part out of that and just start modifying the shape. You can also have shapes that are not like a cube, that are a bit more extreme maybe, and maybe you want to have something, I don't know, let's just say that you're taking a huge part out, so you want to take, you know, a really big part out, because you can have rounds that are going the opposite way, so, you know, that's just, looks like something's biting it. So you can have different types of rounds, okay? And I would suggest that if you're just starting, you make a whole bunch of these, because it's going to help you a lot, and also do this section line right there. And section lines are really helpful to understand surfaces. Like right here, I haven't even started shading, but I understand pretty well how it works and the direction of the surface, okay? So I'm just going to make one more right here. You can also have, I'm just going to do an example of how it works for other shapes. Let's say you want it to do like a triangle here at the top. You do the same thing you did before, okay? You just mark a spot, like a little dot there and a little dot there, and connect it to the next one and the next one, okay? So you have a little house there, okay? So the process is the same. It doesn't have to be rounds. You just have to use section lines, and see, you have a middle. Okay, so with a section line, I understand what's happening perfectly well without the having to shade this object. You understand perfectly well what's happening. So my recommendation here is always use the middle of the object as a, you know, guideline to do things. And just other than that, practice a lot, make section lines, and make a lot of quick ideas. So before we finish this, I'm gonna make a tiny, not tiny, but I mean a cute little chair thingy that, you know, you make out of a round and another round and another round. So I'm just gonna make the cube here. So I'm gonna do something similar to what I showed you before. Okay, so once I have this cube here, what I want to do is I want to find the middle, and I'm not going to find it like you're supposed to technically, but you know, I'm going to estimate, because you also need to practice estimating places in your sketches. So I'm going to find the middle here too, and I'm going to just make a division here and here, and I'm going to make the first round here to here. And I do this line right here because it shows me where to start the round on both places, okay? So because I don't want to start one here and then the other one all the way up there, okay? I want it to be in the same perspective line. So I'm going to do this, and I'm going to go over there. So I'm going to do this right here. I'm going to make 2 more rounds. Again, I do the 2 lines that mark where my round begins and ends. This one is going to have another round right there, and another round over there. Okay? Since I did a round here, I need to do it also over here, and also over here. Okay? So I have these rounds, and now I am going to make 2 more rounds all the way down here. Okay? And 2 bigger rounds back here. So I'm just playing with the size of these rounds, okay? And this one is just going to have tiny little rounds here. Okay, so I'm just showing you what you can get out of modifying the size of those rounds. And it's really fun once you find, you know, a way to like it. And at least for me, it's really, really fun to do this. Okay. So now we want to do this. And sometimes I just say do this a lot, but it's because I don't want to. It's better to see what you're supposed to do than actually hear someone say it. So watch what I'm doing. Okay, so I did the outer lines, and the ones that I want to do inside are the ones that I think I've already said this before, but I'm going to repeat it because it's really important. I'm going to darken the lines that I can only see one of their faces, or one of their surfaces, okay? So this line right here, I can see one surface and I can see another surface. So that line is not going to be really dark, but this one on the other hand, I can only see this surface and I cannot see the one behind it. So that line is really dark, and I'm going to just make this line sort of disappear, so it won't end in a little ball there. I'm just gonna smooth it out, okay, and sort of just smudge it, like making it go that way. So that is a little cute chair thingy, you know, it's nice and fatty. So I'm gonna just do a little bit of simple shading here to understand the surface better. Okay, so if this one is dark, then the ones that are parallel to this one should be dark also. Okay, so we just have a little issue here because there's a round, you know, so we don't want to just get into that round so much. And we have something that's happening inside that is a complex round, and I'm not going to get into that. So if you don't want to, you know, have that issue, just make this edges not round and make them just end like this, you know, like without the round. But since it looks a little bit nicer, I'm just going to do it for now, because the next tutorial is on complex rounds, so you're going to figure out how to do that in just a second. So I think this is it for simple rounds. So remember to do a lot of sketches, because this is going to help you a lot. So do as many as you can, and just try to do objects while you're at it.